So, in reading Trouble in Mind, um, sorry, I lost track of that. Dealing with this live prompt, um, thinking of the questions was interesting. So, um, I will hopefully be able to answer them as best I can. So, for question one, to discuss what was memorable about the play for me, I think one of the most memorable things was watching the actors interact with each other in terms of a racial standpoint. It was interesting to see how the black actors felt like they had to measure up to the needs of the white director, um, in terms more so of a racial thing and not just a power in theater thing of actor and director. It was also interesting to see uh, just between actors um, of the black actors thinking they had to lie about their credentials and um, things like that to try to compare to more so to a white actor. I find that pretty memorable and interesting. For question two, one character from the play that I thought was um, kind of standing in his or her own way, or like what was standing in their way, was I thought the main character of Willetta. I thought she, as the main character, I think we kind of got to know her the most, just like her life and the way she operates as a woman. Um, but I think we can see that she um, kind of gets in her own way. When talking with John, she explains of ways that he can have a successful career like hers, that she's managed to maintain that career and have a pretty successful acting career as an African American actress in a career full of white males and white females. And I think it's interesting to watch her kind of give advice to John about this is the way you succeed, this is the way you need to be, this is the way you need to live, this is the way you need to act to be successful. And then we see with her, sorry, with her interactions with Manners as the play goes on, she kind of abandons her own morals and her own rules as being a black actress. Kind of stands up for what she believes in, is where she disagrees and where she um, kind of takes over as kind of the woman she is on the inside and not just on the stage. And she comes to a point of at the end of the play where uh, she basically sets herself up to get fired because of the argument of what she believed in and her disagreement with Manners. So I think that kind of she stands in her own way of being successful in another play instead of just confiding to the way that he wanted to do things and um, just kind of pushing down her own feelings and thoughts in the situation. So I think she kind of stands in her own way there. For question three, I think it tries to just dealing with racism in the play. I think it tries to resist it. Um, Again, in that sense of um, when we're kind of meeting all the characters, all of the African American actors kind of share their experiences of um, how they started and how they had to portray themselves differently because they were black when giving John advice in the beginning. Um, I think it's kind of like that. If you don't act like you're black or different, like they're not going to be able to see you like you're different. Um, and then I think it kind of is reinforced once at the end when Willetta snaps and um, you know Manners is like saying that she shouldn't have the right to compare herself to him, to his level of abilities, based off of their different races. Um, so I think that's kind of interesting to look at of those two, how they uh, kind of come together towards the end of those worlds of trying to pretend like everything's fine, but really everything isn't fine. Kind of in that argument, kind of comes together and solidifies the the unsaid racism in the room, I guess. For question 4, about stereotypes that still exist today, they're definitely, they definitely do. Where you can see, I mean, just in the news of, it's always some thug is like African Americans are thugs, or somehow lesser people in the world because of their skin color, or not as smart, or shouldn't do X, Y, and Z because of their racism, or not because of their race. But like, it's always like there are some sort of a lesser human, lesser individual, just because of their skin color, not necessarily their credentials. But I mean, racism is in literally everything, where it's people are afraid to live in predominantly black neighborhoods because they're rough areas. Whether that's true or not, like, they don't know. They just go based off of the race, is they see a city full of, or an area full of African Americans, and they say, oh, that must be a impoverished neighborhood. Where it's like, there's no validity to that assumption at all. So things like that, I think, is definitely real, still in the world today. So I think that's always interesting. But this play is very interesting to think about racism in theater. So that's all. That's all for the questions.